Bad news, people. Looks like pigs are now flying and hell is frozen over. Sneako and Moist Critical finally had their highly anticipated debate, if you want to call it that. They discussed an array of issues such as cuties, red pill, manosphere stuff, religion, what you stand for. We're going to review this debate. Now, at the end, we're going to discuss who got smoked, who won the debate, if anybody did win it, all right? Let's get into it.
Discussion with you about Cuties since I dropped that video back in 2020.
How time flies, man. Well, better late than never.
So, have you seen the movie?
Yeah, so you mentioned you saw my video, so you know I didn't finish the movie. I physically couldn't. I found it just to be completely repulsive.
Haven't you seen a lot of other movies that have repulsed you before? I watch horror movies. I watch movies that are provocative quite a bit.
Yeah, but this is something I feel isn't being recognized. There's a difference between being repulsed by fiction, which is like horror movies, that's not real, and being repulsed because there's real children doing sexual things. You can't fake that. The actresses were 11 to 13 years old. They were twerking. There was some very gross scenes in there, and like the cameras would zoom in on their chest and their ass and their crotch. Like, that's a very different kind of repulsed.
That's what we agree on. I don't agree that those scenes are good. I don't agree with the sexualization of children. I defend the movie because I defend the morality of the movie. And I think that most people that were disgusted have seen those clips or didn't watch the whole movie like you. So that movie was taken out of context quite a bit. People don't really see the moral of the movie, which is defending Islamic values and also pointing out the very real problem that young girls have going on social media and doing these dances. I agree that it's disgusting. I agree that those scenes are repulsive, but I think you could be repulsed by TikTok and pretty much what young girls are doing on social media every single day as well. I think that people outraged at that film should also be outraged at everything that girls are doing now on Instagram, TikTok, and all these apps.
Well, see, but here's the thing. So let's break it down to the very bare essentials. Can children consent?
Can children consent? No, they can't. We agree.
So then why do you think it's excusable to exploit them after having them sign up for this film? If you admit they can't consent, how can they possibly give the okay to be shaking their ass and having a camera all up in their shit while they're doing sexual things, like that scene where she takes a picture of her vagina, the scene where they're doing literal, like, toying around with cam sites, like, that's very different. Like, no one is disputing the message, right? It's
a I agree with the intention of the movie. I don't think that those scenes are good. That's what we completely agree on. But I think that was an important movie to point out how many people get sucked into this world. I think that was needed. That movie was needed to be made. And I also don't think that movie encouraged pedophiles to go and cite and look at these girls. I think that they're more likely to go on TikTok and find girls that they're attracted to. I don't think that this really attracted people to these girls.
Well, it's not like I'm here arguing that this movie created pedophiles, right? But what it did is it delivered a film that they would watch for totally different reasons than the message. Again, the message isn't something that I or pretty much anyone has an issue with. The message is, like you mentioned, the social media poisoning them, making them do the sexual things, which is a problem. But this movie contributes to it since it still used real children to sexualize them, to showcase it. That's the issue. You didn't need it to be children.
I don't think it contributes to it, because when you see girls doing this on TikTok, they don't know.
I don't see girls doing it on TikTok, though, is the thing, right? The only people that would are going to be the pedophiles. They would go and search that out. This movie was advertised on Netflix.
No, that's not true. Every time, I don't have TikTok on my phone, but once in a while, before I was banned, I would go on there, and the first 3 videos would be the same thing that you see on Cuties.
Sneako is absolutely right. Whenever I open up my TikTok, like, I had to physically block Travis Barker's daughter, who's like 16 or 17 years old, and Erykah Badu's daughter, who's about like 16, 17 years old. Because whenever I open up my TikTok, they were being recommended doing some type of sexual dances and weird dances in some skimpy outfits, yo. Right? I wasn't trying to see that, right? The algorithm forced it in front of me. I had to block it just to not see it. Now, so far, I think Sneako is washing and bodying Moist Critical in the Cuties debate specifically. Here's why I think that. Because Moist Critical, before this debate, he had a very strong stance. His stance was Cuties was child porn. It has no place on the internet, no place on Netflix. It needs to be banned and barred from the internet. Now, during this debate, Sneako was able to get him to move off his position just a tad bit. Now, Moist Critical was saying, yo, that Cuties and the motive and the plot of the movie was positive. However, the scenes specifically were wrong and shouldn't have been there. That's a huge jump to go from literal child porn banned everywhere to, yo, it has some type of positives in it. Sneako moved him off his position more than he moved Sneako off his position. So far, Sneako is taking a W.
And that's why I uninstalled the app. That's why I refuse to have it on my phone, because it's directing you to those images.
Which is a problem. I'm not disagreeing that's a problem. But that doesn't make this film...
We agree, but we just disagree that I think the movie was important to point out a flaw.
Bruh, they're being too nice to each other, man. I'm here for the foolery. I'm here for the fuck shit, bro. I'm here for pure hostility. It looks like these dudes are taking the approach of, yo, we both agree on a lot of things, and we don't even know why we're beefing or why we hate each other, because the more we speak, we agree.
Personally, I never empathized with girls being directed to that site before I saw that movie. That really made me understand what it's like to be a girl and grow up in that age.
I think we're getting... Yes, we agree that it is disgusting, but you are excusing it because you believe it highlights a very real issue, which it does, but it contributes to that issue by using children. They didn't have to use kids. You recognize that, right? They could have used...
they didn't have to use kids. But I also look at the director and I look at the moral of the movie, and I don't think that it was anything unsafe. And I don't think that the director had any bad intentions making it.
Intentions here don't matter, my boy. It's still sick, bro. You had grown videographers and photographers zooming in on the crock, breast, and ass of like 11 to 13-year-old girls, bro, during that movie, man. That's just sick to me.
So maybe it shouldn't have been as sexualized, but I defend the morality of the movie. And I also defend the effect that it had on me. When I watched that made me have a new perspective.
Do you see why that's kind of concerning to hear, though? Because in the time that I watched that film, there were unreal amounts of sexual scenes. In fact, the majority of the movie was them doing like the dance routines where they're smacking each other's ass, zoomed in on them shaking their ass in the camera. There's that scene where a security guard's like, what are you girls doing here? And they're like, we're dancers. He's like, prove it. So they start twerking for him, and he's like, oh, great, get in here. Like, that is a problem, no matter how you spin it. Again, the message is fine. There was never anything wrong with the message, and maybe the intention of the director was...
How would you tell the director to convey the message in a different way?
You would just not use children. You could deliver the same message and you don't use children. The problem is
I don't think it would be effective. I don't think it would be as effective. It's
so
unfortunate that it's misinterpreted, but you couldn't be able to have that effect and show how provocative and how dangerous it is without using kids.
Yeah,
of course, the shots probably did not need to be that bad, but when I watched that, I was absolutely disgusted. And like I said, it changed my perspective. And what I'm surprised about is that you are against wokeness, because everything that your content is about, it doesn't seem like you've ever directed any energy towards how dangerous wokeness can be.
Now, Sneako taking the gloves off, but he said, time to rumble now, bro. Finally, man. Bro, I was getting bored and sick and tired of the nice guy act, man. Now, Sneako pressing Moist Critical about the purpose of his platform right now. I want to see Sneako ask Moist Critical, what is your purpose? What do you stand for? Like he proposed and asked during his personal response video to Moist Critical.
Which is exactly what that movie's about. It's saying how important Islamic values are in the face of wokeness. It's about a Western African family, Islamic. They go to France, a completely woke country that's now being burned alive, and women are running around topless. Wokeness has consumed France, and it's pointing out a proper solution to this problem, which is embracing Islamic values.
Who was the director of the film? Do you know?
Her name is Maminu Doucouré. Maminu Doucouré, I think that's her name. She's a Western African woman, and she moved to France. So I imagine that she had a very similar experience, and she was trying to portray what it was like growing up.
So the message of the movie is about social media, and almost exclusively. She directed the film based on seeing some children in a neighborhood doing sexual dances and wondering, how did it get to that point? This isn't okay. So the movie was supposed to be about how does a child get to that point, and it's about how social media is poisoning them, and they're constantly comparing themselves. They're seeing these things, so they're putting on makeup and they're doing sexual shit, and they never really understand why or the consequences of it. It's not a critique on wokeness, though. Of course, anything in the art field you can derive your own meaning from. I recognize that almost everything you encounter in life you tie back to either cancellation or wokeness.
Sneako took the jab first. Morris Critical now took another jab and told that boy, bro, you tie all your issues back to wokeness, man. Grow up. Sneako, bro, you going to take that personally, Sneako. If I was you, I wouldn't take that level of disrespect.
But in this film in particular, this is a movie I really feel conflicts hard with your ideology. Under no circumstances should children be sexualized, is where I stand. Do you disagree?
There's a lot of things in movies, like I don't agree with incest in Star Wars, but Star Wars has incest scenes. I don't agree with incest, but it's portrayed.
It's not real incest, though. This is real children being sexualized. It's not fake. These are 11...
I agree. But I'm defending the point of the movie.
You can defend the point of the movie but you can still condemn the movie itself. The point can stand on its own 2 feet, right? Like, there is a problem, which you recognize, with kids being sexualized, in specific on TikTok. That is a problem in and of itself. But you can still condemn this film for contributing to the thing it's supposed to speak out against, which is sexualizing children, which you have admitted it does. And it didn't need to, like you said.
I'll be real, Sneako, my boy. Like, you started off with a W, man. Morris Critical is cooking you right now, yo. Yo, he is cooking you right now. Bro, this reminds me of, like, the Tiffany Haddish and, like, Ari Spears video, where we know what the purpose was, right? It's to raise awareness for molestation. But you don't have to molest a child to raise awareness for it, like they did on camera.
That is the problem.
Maybe they shouldn't have used child actors, but I agree with the point of the movie. But how do you think that the point could have been conveyed in a better way? You think should they have used 18-year-olds to play 11-year-olds?
That's exactly what most movies have done for a long time. A quick example is The Last of Us using Bella Ramsey to portray a 14, 15-year-old. Like,
that will work if you had an 18-year-old playing a 16-year-old character. But in Cuties, the characters were from 11 to 13-year-olds. I don't care how many tutus you dress an 18-year-old in, she is not going to look like no 11-year-old.
You can do that, and that's a lot more acceptable because there is no longer a victim. Like you'd said, children can't consent. These kids could never fully consent to being sexualized in this film like this on the big screen.
I would argue that when they use 30-year-olds and 27-year-olds to play high schoolers, like in Euphoria and like in 13 Reasons Why, it actually sexualizes kids more because we start to mature high schoolers and we think of them in a different way. People in their 30s and their late 20s get addicted to Euphoria and they have ideas and they start romanticizing teenagers in a different way because they don't use actors in that way and they make them look more mature.
That's a completely separate conversation you can make arguments for, but that doesn't work here because it sexualizes already real children, right? So I think you're getting hung up on like the what ifs and like whataboutisms on other sides, but the core doesn't change. So let me give you an example. It is realistic to use kids for the message, right? Because it's about kids. Well, what if the child was naked doing the vagina pic? If they showed the kid's vagina, is that now too far? It's still realistic.
That's too far. So there's 2 ways the movie could have been changed to be more effective and that people would understand the message. 1, they could have used child actors and they should not have been sexualized in that way. Or 2, they could have been 18 plus and it could have been sexualized, but then it wouldn't have been as effective. One of the 2 should have changed. I agree.
Okay. So then do you think there's like levels to sexualization of kids that is acceptable and then unacceptable?
Nah, Sneako, don't answer that, my boy. He trying to put you on your Mr. Girl arc, bruh. That was a trick question.
No, this is never acceptable to sexualize children, but...
Then we agree, so then can we then say, since this film sexualized children, I can't really champion the film, however, the message is okay. Like, I like the message.
I agree completely. But the reason I defend that movie is because I think everybody just saw those scenes and looked past the message and looked past the good moral that the director had when making it.
That could very well be the case for some people, right? 100%.
I would say most people. Most people who hate the movie haven't seen it. Most of the people accusing me of being a pedophile for defending the movie haven't seen it and have no idea what it's about. They've just seen those scenes.
But they're also still not wrong for being upset about those scenes. Like, can you recognize that?
I think they should be more upset at the problem. I think people should direct that anger instead of calling me a pedophile on the internet. They should look at the system that turns these girls into sexual objects at a young age and be more angry at that. That is the real issue. That is the bigger problem at large.
They do, though. It's not mutually exclusive, like where it's one or the other.
Do they? Do you?
Do I what? Talk about the problem?
Do you direct that anger? I see you follow the narrative that's popular on social media, but I don't see you ever direct it at the problem. Do you agree that wokeness is one of the biggest problems that corrupts kids nowadays?
Define wokeness.
Oh, he trying to make you a meme, Sneako. This same tactic just killed somebody else's career. I just seen a TikTok about this. Some chick was on CNN spitting that red pill right-wing gospel, and they asked her, yo, you're so anti-woke. What does woke means? She started stuttering, talking like Flacco, and she couldn't define it.
Wokeness is the liberal ideology, is feelings over facts. I identify this way because I feel like it is. There's no gender, nothing matters. I do as I want. Everything that's promoted on social media.
Do you realize half of what you just described is how you've lived your life for the last year? Like feelings over facts, for example.
Oh my God! Now log off, my boy. He trying to pack you out, my boy. Log off, Sneako. Sneako, it's not too late to act like your phone is experiencing technical issues, bro. He trying to put you in a blender right now, Sneako. Log off, my boy.
You champion bullying. You think bullying needs to come back. I have never canceled you. Can you recognize that? I've actually always spoke out against deplatforming. If you've ever noticed, I spoke out against it.
No, but you were also disingenuous. When I called out the soy boy collage, you were like, "These people just hurt my feelings." Most of those people actively advocated
for my
person. Cancellation.
Nick is not green is the only person.
True. That's not true. Ethan Klein celebrated and clapped when I was banned and said, "Good, finally this misogynist is banned." What happens on the internet, I understand. It's good to have back and forth. Bullying is good because it makes you have to develop your character in a different way.
Yo, I think we've redefined what bullying is, bro. Like, we done gentrified bullying. Because when I think about bullying, bro, I think about abject harassment, bro. Attacking you, your family, your mama, doxing. That's what bullying is, right? Physical harm. That's what bullying is. We don't want to bring that back, bro. Now, if you're saying, listen, we should disagree more, and of course, disagree more without making a video crying to YouTube to ban somebody because you don't like their ideology. But let's not bring bullying back.
That's not why I was upset. I was upset because a lot of these people were secretly happy or secretly hoping that I was going to get banned because they disagree with my ideology.
But then why am I on that list when I've only ever spoke out against deplatforming? That seems like I'm there because I hurt your feelings.
You didn't hurt my feelings. I thought it was funny because you do look like the rest of them.
I don't understand how, but we're not here to get into the nitty gritty, I guess.
Similar. Overall, and you can see it with the Fresh and Fit video that you still haven't corrected, where you called Fresh a virgin. A lot of it, and you see people that hate me, they're like, "Oh, this alpha male Sneako," and I've never once called myself that. I don't think I'm an alpha male. I advocate towards things that are conservative. I advocate towards Islamic values.
Yo, when does boy Sneako become Muslim, man? Like, yo, Andrew Tate inspiring everybody, bro.
That doesn't mean that I think I am an alpha male.
I've never called you an alpha male. You're talking to someone.
You've called my friends that. You've called Fresh and Fit that, and you haven't.
They call them. You are really hung up on fighting for the honor of Fresh and Fit. What I did was exactly what you preach. I made fun of him. Calling him a virgin is a joke. Do I think he's actually a virgin? Probably not.
Because you don't correct your mistakes. You were wrong about Fresh and Fit. You were wrong about Andrew Tate. And you were wrong about the movie Cuties.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you tied it back to Cuties, but before we get back to that, how am I feel like I'm one of the very few people on the internet who corrects himself. Whenever I make a mistake, I do go and make a clarification. For example, I got something wrong with a content creator holding a stand-up competition that was absolute dog shit, and then someone came there and made fun of him, and I didn't know the full context. Once I got the full context, I went back and made a follow-up video to explain it in more depth with more clarity. I always do that. With Fresh and Fit, you really hung up on this idea that he fucked 3 women that night after meeting an NBA player at a bar, and they exchanged Instagram information, and it turns out they were Eskimo bros with the same girl's pussy. Like, it's an outrageous story.
At this point, Fresh got to call that NBA player to the carpet, bro. He got to expose that ninja, man. All right, because protecting that ninja identity, man, is almost causing him his entire credibility. We not believing that story of an orgy, bro, until we know who the NBA player is and he can call in and verify himself. F calling in, bro. He got to come to Fresh and Fit live in 4K and verify that story, man.
Now, whether or not it's true, you haven't proved it either. Were you there watching him fuck? Were you cheering him on?
He verified it. He showed the DMs with the basketball player. They did the whole podcast verifying the story.
The DMs.
You didn't correct it. Okay, so you didn't correct that. They did verify the story. You didn't correct it.
Did they have the basketball player? Did they have the basketball player and the 3 girls he fucked come on and be like, oh my god, he absolutely plowed the shit out of me. It was the best sex of my life. Did he have...
That would never happen, but he did show the DMs with the basketball player verifying the story.
What? Fresh wasn't capping? God, shout out my nigga Fresh, man.
That he did go to the party. Whether or not you want to believe he was with 3 women, I wasn't there either. I guess we're never going to know. But He did get the DMs from the basketball player.
A lot of the things you critique the woke for are ones that you actively partake in. Victimization, that's a big thing with the woke, right? Constantly playing the victim. Do you recognize how often you play the victim in terms of like, I'm being canceled, everyone's against me, you go on your Discord to talk more about it, even this morning talking and naming and shaming people that you think have slighted you as like a cancellation. You do the exact same things. Like, you are also an SJW.
That's not victimizing, that's actively pointing out that literally every streamer, the entire internet, all of YouTube reacted to your video. I drop a response where I even apologize for going out of character and getting emotional, and then people, it's a million views in 12 hours. Nobody watching my rebuttal. Some of them react to me and making me die in an animation, but nobody wants to see what I have to say. I've become a caricature on YouTube rather than somebody who has something to say. I've become a meme because I am banned. That's not victimizing. That's actively pointing out how strong censorship is and how people on mainstream platforms can run with the narrative when you're not there.
The way you just justified it is a way many other people that you call playing the victim would also be able to justify things.
I don't think all victimization are the same, and I don't even think the issue is with victimization, is with false victimization, right? Somebody crying out and complaining about actually being victimized, I don't think anybody has an issue with that. Is with the false victimization, is not actually being a victim, right? You just not having your way and you're crying and, and sounding false alarms. It's kind of like complaining, all right? If somebody is complaining all the time, right, about everything, you'll get annoyed. But if somebody is complaining because they were actually victimized, they were actually hurt, I don't think you can be annoyed at that, right? Because at that point, like, you just
point is, when you are constantly whining and talking about how you're being attacked, it is still being victim.
It's disingenuous, and now we're having the debate, but you would rather DM and go and make this about drama. Oh, let me go and react and do more drama content rather than have a conversation.
But I never did that.
You're doing it now.
But you have to remember that I didn't start any of this. You reacted to me telling jokes about your friend and then had your audience tell me, and that went on for like 2 weeks. And so eventually I explained why I don't like you.
That's true. He's not lying. And this got to be a learning lesson for Sneako. Because when Moist Critical went at Fresh and roasted Fresh and had Fresh going viral with his roast, you stood up for Fresh. You put yourself in the middle of their beef and attacked Moist Critical. And when he got on your ass, when he made videos about you, when he had you trending for 4 days, Fresh and Fit ain't come to your defense. They ain't attack Moist Critical for you. They ain't insert themselves in y'all beef. They kept quiet. You got to be careful, bro, in terms of who you're making enemies for and who you are inserting yourselves in their beef. Like be real careful, right? Because you got to insert yourself in beef for people who going to ride for you too.
And then when I did that, that was the only time I planned on talking about you. You went on stream with your gun to threaten me, and you kept it up for 3 months, adding me.
I didn't do that to threaten you. That was a joke about clips. You actually think I was threatening you?
Whether or not you were
victimized, you're gonna think, okay, you're gonna say victimized. You're gonna say I'm actively trying to threaten you by saying a clips joke on a stream.
I don't think you were actually coming after my life. It doesn't change the fact that for 3 months you continued to carry it on. I wasn't reacting to you. I wasn't even talking about you.
What do you think that I've said that I don't believe in?
So we'll use our beef, for example. You think I'm weak for not taking you up on a boxing fight. But on the same side of that coin, you won't take Brandon Buckingham up on that boxing fight. The whole point was I don't stand by my beliefs because I won't fight you for it. Well, with that perspective, why wouldn't you fight Brandon Buckingham when you feel so strongly about your beliefs and he says the same things I do?
Brandon Buckingham been boxing for I don't know how long. Sneako just got in the ring, yo. Sneako, if I'm you, I'm ducking Brandon Buckingham too, bro. Like Danny Mullen ducked him. I'm ducking that boy too, bro. And he got like 50 pounds on Sneako.
Wouldn't you want to prove that you stand...
The first fight that I want to take would be against somebody, one, who has more clout than me. Two, I disagree with ideologically. I don't disagree with him ideologically at all.
But he says the same things I say about you.
This person has been obsessed for a long time. He's suing me for emotional distress. Personally, I don't care about this person, and there's no benefit for me take my first fight with this person.
So then
if
your
I fought
beliefs.
somebody, I challenged.
So then
The reason I was banned on Twitter for challenging Hasanabi to a fight. One, because a lot of people want to see that. He's well known. He disagrees with me completely. There's a lot of tension for that fight. If I fought you, you have said a lot of things that are very negative about me. There's beef in the air. And you talk a lot about me, some things that you probably wouldn't say to my face. It would be an entertaining fight.
Testing that boy temperature, man. Yo, Moise, I'll be real, Moise. Personally, if I was you, I wouldn't take that level of disrespect. That boy said you wouldn't say none of that to my face. Whole game, man.
But that's not the point. The whole point is you think I am weak, and you keep harping on this for not taking you up on the fight. But you won't take someone up on a fight that's saying the exact same things I am. So it seems like the beliefs, you don't stand by that strongly if you're not confident you can make a spectacle.
Charlie, we both know you wouldn't accept the fight.
Right, I've made that very clear.
We both know. Even when I challenge you, we both know. It's to point out that a lot of people talk a lot of talk online, and they never have to face the consequences because they stay in their room gaming all day. That was to point it out. Men are tired of seeing this back and forth internet drama. They want to see people go and settle it. I've never said a word about this person that you're bringing up. I haven't said a word about him since last summer. I won't say his name publicly again. I'm being sued for emotional distress. I'm leaving that alone. I have no problem with this person. We have gone back and forth. We're going back and forth on Twitter. People want to see it. People are tired of these keyboard warriors going back and forth. That was to point out the fact that men should not feel so comfortable talking a lot of talk on Twitter that they would never say in person.
Moise, my boy, he keep testing your temperature, bro. If I'm you, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect, man. Bro, this boy seemed like he on Tommy, Moise. Bro, I'll be real. Before this, I didn't really think it was smoke. Right now, I'll be real. I thought the conversation started off pretty well. Right now, where the conversation is at, bro, if they ended this conversation right now with Sneako ever seen, bro, he's taking off on him.
You made claims of Brandon Buckingham being like a rapist and shit. Wouldn't that be something that you'd want to fight about at that point? Like
that was not a claim that I made. That was not a claim that I made.
I can't remember the specifics of it, but you did toss out the word rapist when talking about Brandon Buckingham. I don't remember the context it was used in, but you did mention it, right? So why is all of a sudden that now beneath you? Like you don't have any problems with him now after he's willing to fight. The point is, you're talking about, you say these things and you don't have consequences. Well, what about you? You said these things. He's trying to give you those consequences that you think are so important, and you won't take him up on it. There is a clear hypocrisy.
Right, that was a different example. The guy was a previous fan. It's a giant misunderstanding. There's a lawsuit involved, so I can't talk about this too much, but that is not what I accused him of. I do not think he is that word.
Sneako just trying not to get sued, man. Sneako trying to keep his million, man. Y'all gotta relax.
I never said that about him, and that's a lie. He wants to do it because there's an obsession going on, but that's irrelevant.
Well, it's all tying back into the point I'm making, where the things that you preach against, you yourself embody.
Your energy, $50 on a course from vetted millionaires, or watching a gaming streamer for 6 hours every night.
Well, he didn't use the course to get rich. He's getting rich from the course, the same way that the course that you're selling is not like your main way that you made money. You are making money from that course now, as opposed to what the course is teaching. But again, this is getting completely sidetracked.
That's just not true. That's not my main source of income. I enjoy doing it, and it's a great way to have a network. And
I'm a capitalist. I believe if you can profit, profit. If you can sell it, sell it. If you want to sell fire to an igloo, if that igloo purchases fire and it destroys the igloo, that's up to the igloo. We're all adults. We should all be responsible for our own decisions. So I guess dumping on Sneako for selling courses makes no sense to me.
Talk about all the lonely men that are out there. What are you doing to go and help these people? We understand that there's a problem with loneliness of men. People get in there, they ask me questions about how do I network better? How do I find people who are like-minded? You give them advice, and you can see them transform their life. I'm curious as to what you think is a better alternative, because you stream gaming for 6 hours. Is that a better solution to men who are lonely watching you play video games, or giving advice to men who don't know how to find a community of like-minded people who don't know how to make money online and want to live a lifestyle where, look, I'm in Japan. You're still in the same room that I've seen you in since high school.
I can go places. I choose not to. I'm happy here the same way you're happy traveling in Japan. Like, these are non-arguments that you're making. It's the same argument
I've
of
never
why
seen you outside of your room. And I don't know how many years I've seen you on YouTube. I've never seen you out of your room. I've seen you with dildos in your room, throwing it at each other and your friends. I've never seen you travel. I've never seen you network with other people. I've never seen you show your audience what's possible if they make money as well. I've seen you play video games since like 2016.
In one of the clips you showed of me, I am outside at Gasparilla with my girlfriend. What are you talking about? You're talking about things that are agreeable. And this is what I've said about Andrew Tate. He doesn't always say silly, dumb shit, but he does. And he couples it with good, real things. Like you mentioned, porn addiction is a problem. Like, no one's gonna disagree with that. But everything that you're sprinkling in outside of it is totally fucking irrelevant to the rest of it, man. You going and flexing on your audience isn't showing them what's possible, it's showing what's possible when they're paying for your lifestyle. The advice you give, you thrive off them staying miserable, right? The second they get happy, the second they get money,
No,
the second
I definitely don't.
they will not be
definitely
paying for
don't.
your course
If my
anymore.
audience-
I don't think Moist Critical thought that one out too much, because if somebody purchases the course, it's not like they're going to purchase the same course twice. If they purchase the course and they become happy because of the course, they're going to stay a dedicated fan of Sneako. It doesn't affect his bottom line because it's not like they're going to purchase the course twice. So them being happy doesn't even affect his course sales. It just makes them loyal to Sneako because he saved their lives.
If my audience does not get value from my content, they're going to leave. The reality is that streamers and content creators like you, the audience always grows up. They watch a little of the gaming content, then they grow up. They're not learning anything, and so they go to another content creator. They go to somebody else who's popular or trendy. You need to add value to the audience, or else they are going to grow out of it.
And the
I know
value
the
from
pressure of that.
the value of most things is entertainment. What you used to do was humor interlaced with your stuff. Now it's just preaching to the choir of people that already subscribe to your hive mind. It's you're still doing the
that's what
same
you see on
thing.
Twitter. That's what you see on Twitter because that's the only mainstream platform that I'm still allowed to be on. If you watch my stream,
I have
haven't
watched
streamed
your
in a couple
streams.
weeks. When I watch my stream for 4 hours, it's not preaching. A lot of it's humor. My motto is seek truth through funny.
Which
I
you've
look at
abandoned.
what's going on in the world.
Sneako is hilarious. Yeah, nah, I don't think Sneako abandoned the funny, bro. Because I watch Sneako live streams on Rumble. He's hilarious, bro. You feel me? He does a lot more than just rant about this red pill issue.
You it seems you have completely abandoned that. I have watched your streams. I have. A lot of it devolves into just talking again about the same things you always mention. Soy boys, bots, woke mind virus, and then dancing around. And then always trying to defend and find the other side of something controversial. It's the same formula over and over again because that's how you found to keep your audience hooked. It's no different than
That's
people
not true.
that...
I go on Omegle and I'm joking around for an hour or 2 hours. I bring on my viewers and we joke to each other. I bring on people, real life people. They sit next to me and we joke around. I have different podcasts. I have different guests.
The jokes
I just did a podcast with Ryan Dawson uncovering Epstein and uncovering the truth about 9/11, which I really recommend that you go see, to an alternative platform that's labeled as an alt-right conspiracy website and still maintain the same audience. You can't do that by repeating the same things every day. You have to add some value.
But you can. That's the number one grift right now. As long as you are contributing to an echo chamber, the people will not leave you. You form a reliance where they're constantly suckling your tit for validation that their point of view is the right one. And the more that you claim the victim, the more that solidifies and cements them that belief is the correct one because people are attacking
That's absolutely not true at all. I've been talking about the woke mind virus for a long time, and now my audience wants to get to know the truth, so I've been interviewing different people. I did a whole podcast uncovering Epstein and who's actually on the client list because that's one big conspiracy theory that people want to know more about. I did an entire podcast uncovering 9/11 and the Iraq War and what happened and why war is created by deception. I'm getting into more things because if you get repetitive, they're going to leave. What are your beliefs? What are they?
Ah, damn, finally, bro. Yo, I was expecting this to be the first question. Because Sneako always brings this up when he's talking about Nick, Moist Critical, and others, right? Hassan.
I don't know them. Can you tell me what you believe in?
Yeah, I feel like I've made my beliefs very clear. I am very firmly on the side of there are certain things, and it's going to be different for everyone, that make people happy. And main thing I want is for people to be happy. I don't like that men are alone, which is why a lot of the advice I give is telling them to get out of their comfort zone and start with something like the gym. The gym is a very social environment. It's an environment where everyone's working towards similar goals. You immediately surround yourself with like-minded people, and maybe you make a connection at the gym. Maybe you can find a friend there, but even if you don't, you are out of your comfort zone in an environment where people are working for a similar goal goal. And that already changes your mindset as a person. You've given yourself a goal, you are acting on it, and now you're surrounded by people that are also in a similar boat. I think most importantly is I want people to be happy, and a lot of times they can't find that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with escapism, like watching someone play a game or even playing games yourself. Watching a sport, playing a sport yourself is also great. I play pickup basketball every Thursday. Getting out, talking outside of a comfort zone, instead of sitting online making 20,000 tweets on the Sneako Twitter, I think is not productive. Replying to Sneako's Twitter, replying to my Twitter, none of it I think is productive. I've had Twitter since 2012. I've made 2,600 tweets, and half of those are just shit posts or a retweet. I think all of that, locking yourself inside as a recluse, living in this completely toxic landscape like Twitter, is the most detrimental thing for a person, and that extends to TikTok as well. I think TikTok has absolutely ruined people's brains in terms of what they can even stomach as an attention span. Having to have like Subway Surfer underneath a video of someone talking because you can't focus long enough, I think it's all a problem. So the things I talk about are usually geared towards either entertaining people for 8 minutes a day or whatever, or during a stream if they're already home from work and just need to unwind. I think all of that is fine. But I do always try and give some level of advice. My background, I don't know if you know, I'm a human science graduate with a concentration in exercise physiology. I believe very firmly in the mind-body connection in terms of strength building and muscle building. It's going to change your whole brain chemistry, and it will help improve the way you're looking at the world. So that's one of the big things I talk about, is even if you're 100% comfortable with your body, there is no reason not to at least try to make these kind of differences and change your perspective on things. Like, it doesn't even have to be a body issue. It helps your mind overall. I am always against people paying for advice from so-called gurus and professionals because you don't need it. The beauty of the internet is it is an unlimited repository of all of the human knowledge, just this compendium of every piece of information for every subject you could want. And you can access it for free. Under no circumstances do I ever advocate for someone paying up to $50 a month for advice they can freely find right now, even if it doesn't come with a built-in...
Gamers always have the argument, but then they never talk about how college is a waste of time and that people go into $50,000 to $100,000 in debt from people who aren't vetted millionaires.
But that's it, though. These two guys got a lot in common that they don't realize they have in common, because Moist Critical is a strong advocate, right? He's staunchly against going to college. He's been on the record for saying that college is a waste of time. So I don't even think that Sneako, is well learned on Moist Critical in general.
If you could pay $50 and talk to a vetted millionaire who has made money online in a way that they don't teach in school, $50 is a steal. People get really upset about this because you're paying somebody directly and you know who you're spending the money on. You don't get upset about college because you don't know the principal, you don't know the headmaster, you don't know the donors. They're nameless people behind a university. So the point of the network is collection of information concentrated in one place, and also the network of people that you can find. Right here, I'm in Japan traveling with somebody that I met from the Creativity Kit. That is something that is valuable and that you will only find by paying $50, which is not a huge price.
That is a big price, but also, do you see what just happened there?
$50 is a huge price. That's the same price as your merch that you're using to advertise on this drama. Would you rather your audience pay $50 for a t-shirt from a gamer, or they meet somebody that they can go start a business with?
That the merch isn't $50 for a t-shirt, but regardless, what I want you to recognize is what happened there.
It is.
Okay. It's still not, but with what just happened there is I was talking about something and you went into PR speak and salesman mode to talk about your course, and you attributed something to me that I actually talk against. I actually have spoken many times about why college just isn't right for everybody. It's not. It simply isn't. I think college provides an invaluable social experience where for the first time in your life you're on your own, so you learn how to fend for yourself, you learn how to interact with roommates, strangers, so you get social skills, but college is not going to be a great fit for everyone, especially when it comes to certain academia positions, especially like in some art fields. I actually talk a lot about that, but you keep lumping me in with this perception of a gamer and these beliefs that you don't know anything about me on, and yet you still put me in there.
And that's kind of like the handicap that Sneako has, right? He's traveling, he's doing 20 things at once, right? He's out and about, he's selling courses, he's trying to stay afloat. While Moist Critical probably got all the time in the world to sit in his bedroom, research Sneako, and pick him apart.
Then you should probably make it more clear. Because
I do.
I've been personally watching your videos for years, and I had no idea about any of this.
So,
I've seen you gaming. I've seen you react to drama content. I didn't know that that was your method to make people happy, which I think is a narrow way of answering that question about what you believe in and what your belief system is.
I was still
but that's
going.
fine. But I'm glad that you said that, and I think that you should reiterate that more in your video to add more value to your audience.
So you said you've watched for a long time. These aren't secrets. I made a video 6 years ago. I just double checked. I uploaded a video 6 years ago called "You're Getting Fucked by College Textbooks." The entire video is about how college textbooks in particular are a massive scam and a very predatory system that universities are using. I do talk about these things. You are just not seeing them and then still putting words in my mouth. My beliefs, I think, are very clear to the people that watch. They're not a secret. They're not hidden. I make them very obvious. I don't see how your message is somehow bolstered by spamming slurs, for example, like during that stream with the gun. I couldn't listen to you because you kept saying slurs. How is that necessarily helping make people happy or positive in any way, shape, or form? What does that do to contribute to your overall goal? Because it's not humor either, so it's not seeking truth through funny. It's literally just spamming slurs because you were mad at me.
It is. The reason that it's funny is because I'm on a platform that has free speech, and you're not bound by wokeness where you can't say certain words and you're labeled racist or homophobic or transphobic, where you can say things even if you don't mean them, because we're not trapped with words.
But why say something you don't? Why say something you don't mean though? What does that do? Wouldn't that go against your ideology where you're like faking it?
That's not a word. A word doesn't encourage. A word doesn't encompass a whole belief system. A word can be funny. The word faggot is funny. That was the funniest thing you said this whole debate.
How is that? I don't.
You're laughing now. See?
Well, it's because it's just it's an outrageous claim. It's like talking to a child.
Outrageous.
Yo, Moise has probably got internal bleeding right now, bro, trying to stop himself from laughing, man. My boy, like, listen, bro, I gave up that edge humor 5 years ago to avoid being canceled, man.
Well, no, like,
my point. It's
no,
outrageous. It's funny.
Your defense
This is
of
the
it.
first time we laughed this whole time. Time we laughed this whole thing.
This is
because of one little word.
Yes, because it's such a silly defense of it. It's like a child who hears "fuck" for the first time and he's like, "Woo, Daddy said fuck," which it seems like you can recognize.
Do you believe that Andrew and Tristan Tate are innocent?
That I don't know. They could be, and I've said that from the start.
You don't have a belief on that?
Well, because I don't have the evidence. They've been charged twice with the human trafficking, but none of the evidence is public.
You didn't look at all the victims and their allegations and how everything was exposed on WhatsApp, how they plan to make a Netflix movie out of this. All of that was online. I think.
But then,
if you cover current events, this is something you jump onto the pizza box, but you don't take the time to go and look at all the evidence that was debunked.
That's not true, though, because
why do you spend the narrative laughing at somebody falsely in prison, but you can't go and just look at a couple screenshots and see that as garbage? You're laughing at the pizza box putting 2 people in jail because of what you saw on Twitter. When I say the word faggot or I say a slur, it's just a funny word to say. There's no consequences for that. Nobody goes to jail falsely.
I have looked at the evidence from both sides. I always do. I don't just go to these tribes and just assume everything on my side is right and everything on that side is wrong. I take information from all angles in order to find where I personally sit on this perspective.
I'm confused then. If you always do this, if you always do your research on both sides, then why don't you have a take yet? Then why don't you have a stand yet in regards to Andrew Tate being free? Because you did a video on
this situation. So, for the Tate brothers, being charged twice with human trafficking, while there is some shady shit from the victims, there is still real merit to some of the things that people were talking about, such as something you talked about as well, the taking of the passports from some of the women and getting there under the guise that they would be able to date them. Those are very odd, very peculiar things. So it's not like it's just, all of that's wrong and we have to disregard all of it because this is here. There is, on both sides here, evidence that makes it a very complicated case, which is why it's gone on for so long, right? It's not one where I know the answer. They could be innocent. They could be guilty. I do think it's weird they've now been charged twice. There is some very odd things there because that's not exactly a light thing to come after someone for. And there is things that you have talked about.
It's wrong that people can go to jail for 4 months without any evidence or charges?
And even outside of the Tates, I have said that in this country, where you can go to jail on suspicion of things without ever being charged. It's a problem. Yes, it is a problem.
Okay. I didn't see that video. I saw the video laughing about the pizza box putting in jail. Did you make a video about that?
Yes, and I talked. Well, it's in that video where I say I don't know if he's guilty. I don't like if there's real victims here. Like I would never celebrate someone being a human trafficker because there's victims. I wouldn't celebrate him being a human trafficker. That means there are real victims there. Even though I disagree with like his Hustlers University and a lot of the dumb shit he says, I wouldn't want him to be a human trafficker. That means there are real victims being in terrible situations.
I feel like anybody having a strong stance on the Andrew Tate's guilt or innocence, but they're just disingenuous because there's just too much that we don't know, right? Like, how can you say he's guilty if you haven't even seen all the evidence, all the details, right? All the statements, and how can you say he's innocent if you haven't seen it either, bro? Again, and even for the stuff that's out there, it's just too lengthy. Y'all didn't read the entire transcript from WhatsApp. No, y'all read like 2 pages, bro. Especially at this stage in a quote unquote case. How can you have a strong stance? He hasn't even been charged yet. How can you have a stance either way, innocent or guilty, when you don't even know the crimes he's being charged with? How do you know he's innocent when you don't know what he's being charged with? How do you know he's guilty when you don't know what he's being charged with, bro? Right? Like we're all jumping to like conclusions, trying to take this strong stance. And it's just cringe.
I did say that, and I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. Nobody does right now, except for them and whatever's going on in Romania. The joking about a pizza box is things I make about anything that has craziness around it, like the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. There's so much silliness there that I talk about, but at the end of the day, I don't know who's innocent or guilty. I'm joking about the goofiness of things that have come up, right?
All right, yeah, I got to get going. It comes from a place of cope and of jealousy because they see people who are living a lifestyle opposite of them, and instead of admitting that there's a different path or admitting that they could have a good point, they try to bring down their character. That's the common theme I see with these people. So the intentions that I see from these people in the collage, they're not pure, they're not good. It's jealousy and it's hate.
And again, that is still something they could say about you as well. That's just one of the things
that's
I was
fair.
really...
That's fair, and that's why you made me realize that I need to, this whole hate brigade on Sneako in the recent weeks, I'm going to repurpose my message now. I'm not going to, what up, man? Yo, do you know Moist Critical? Hey, say what's up to him now. We're saying hi. Yeah.
Hey,
look.
I follow you on Twitter.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
hey.
Shout out to Sneako, man. He got the Asian pogs out there, bro. He got the hoes out. Okay. I'll see you, man. Listen, bro, getting the hoes to come out in Japan is crazy.
Just traveling the world right now.
Cool, man. See Moist Canyon's video?
Yeah, we saw me. What did you think of the Me Canyon video?
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, what's up, man?
It was
Hey,
funny.
how's it going,
We laughed
man?
about it.
Cool.
Hey,
Yeah.
Charlie.
We squashed the beef.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I've been
That's awesome.
I've been actually wanting to talk to you more.
It's funny.
I think that's a good way to end it on. Hope we could talk again in the future. I don't think we should have beef. And yeah, you did. I want to thank you for starting that whole Sneako hate brigade, because it's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am guilty of doing the same things that I am mad about. And I do attribute a lot of that to being canceled and a lot of resentment about that. But I just have to spread positivity now and not engage in the same type of behavior that I criticize. Yeah, you're right about that. So I'm just going to go and, I'm not going to go attack mode anymore. I don't think that there's any value to that. It's just going to come back to me.
Well, I actually really appreciate the conversation, man. It's nice to hear like a more human side of you outside of like, what I see on Twitter or Rumble. I actually do think this was a very valuable conversation, so I appreciate you I really appreciate you taking the time to have a bit of a call with me about it.
Yeah, thanks, man. And mags, not clips.
Yeah, from now on, bro, if you're going to be talking about guns, get the terminology right. You very much offended me with that one.
Honestly, I went into this thinking somebody will get washed, but it ended up being a healthy discussion, and I'm proud of both of them. I'm proud of Sneako. I'm proud of Charlie that they kind of figured it out, and hopefully, it's no backstabbing, no beef going forward, bro. I do think that Sneako is a talented content creator. I think Sneako is needed in this space, and I do have faith that Sneako will bounce back, bro. Because let's be real, like Sneako been doing this for 11 years now. Sneako has proven to be a thought leader at some point in his career. The last year or so, he has gone, off the deep end trying to be Andrew Tate. But I hope Sneako finds Sneako, because at the end of the day, bro, I don't think anybody can say that Sneako is truly a bad guy, like at all.